Hello, Rurikon.
Hello, Globku.
Today we're here to talk to you guys about Project Morpheus. Seems like Rurikon has put one of those things in his head, right?
Yeah, I've put one of those things in my head, and David Brown was also there, and he also put one of those things in his head, but unfortunately he's out right now, so he can't be here recording a video with us, but we've got a lot to talk about for Project
Wait,
Morpheus.
are you guys sleeping together at E3? What's going on here?
Oh, you have no idea. Me and David, man.
Okay, I don't want to know. Let's talk about Morpheus. This wasn't your first time wearing the headset, right?
No, I got to play it back at Gamescom 2014, and at the time I got a couple of demos in, but this time the demos were a lot more refined because they felt a lot more like games, whereas last time there were a couple of adaptations and a couple of, like, you know, tech demos, but the stuff that I played today felt very much like a game.
All right, and did you feel any major differences between the demo then and the demo now? Because it's been like a year between those two experiences.
So, I mean, the Project Morpheus headset, the major difference that I've noticed is that it feels a lot easier to, like, put on your head, because I think they've added something, or they tweaked around with the way that you adjust it to place it on your head, because the thing about Morpheus that you put it on top of your head, and then it adjusts so you can move it forward or backward, so you can put it, like, right up to your face. And it felt easier to use with glasses than last time. And it definitely felt a lot easier to use with glasses than something like the Oculus Rift, which I've also used in the past. Which is a big deal because, I mean, for people with glasses, which I guess there's a lot of us, VR has always been something that is a bit of a struggle because you put that thing too close to your glasses and then your glasses start touching your eyelids and it's just a pain in the ass. And
yeah,
this build of Morpheus felt a lot more solid in terms of that. Like, I was able to comfortably have my glasses on and have the device on.
All right, would you say they're close to a final product, or are there still many issues that they have to fine-tune before they finally release the final version?
So from what I've experienced, I mean, I feel they're probably pretty close to a final product. The thing about these VR things is that usually they have, like, a team of people there to, like, assist you and put the helmet on you and do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I felt like, you know, this one I could probably just put it on myself and adjust it fairly easily. Whereas Oculus, it felt a little bit more awkward, as well as the previous version of the Morpheus felt a little bit more awkward. Like, just, it felt like you would need assistance to put something like that in your head.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about video games. You tried some video games. How many did you actually play? Because you said games, plural.
Yeah, so I got to play 3 games on the Morpheus. David Brown was luckier than me because he was able to skip a couple of queues and he got to play 4 games, so I think we can expect some future coverage from him in the channel as well. But the demos that I've played was The Heist, which is a game that is apparently being talked about a lot by people who have played this at conventions and show floors.
I have no idea what this is.
You have no idea what The Heist is? Okay.
No, what is The Heist?
So The Heist is basically a demo where they start with you just sitting down to kind of like, just get you acclimated to the situation. And it's interesting because you start and you're just sitting down, there's like a big muscle dude right in front of you. And he's got a blowtorch, and it looks like one of those scenes where you're about to get tortured or beaten up or something.
Oh, man.
And eventually the guy says, "Stand up," and he gives you a phone. And at this point, the demo activates the move controllers. So, like, you have 2 move controllers when you sit down for this demo, 1 in each hand.
Uh-huh.
What happens is, when they activate it, you can see your hands, like, whenever you move the move controllers into the line of sight, like...
Yeah, the move controllers are tracking your hands,
Yeah.
so when you raise your arms, the move controllers will say, "Here's your hand," and you see it in game. Yeah.
Exactly. It's hard to explain this because it feels so real when you're doing it. And at this point, they put you behind a table, and so you can use your hands to, like, start opening up these drawers. The only input that you have is the movement of the move stick and the trigger, because the move stick has a trigger as well.
Right.
And so, like, you're reaching out with your hand for these shelves and these drawers and stuff, and you're, like, clicking the trigger, and your hand, like, grips the stuff and it opens it.
Okay.
As you're doing this, you come across a bunch of magazine clips for a gun, and eventually you find a gun as well. And so once you pick up the gun with your right hand essentially just becomes the gun, and your left hand is the one that you're using to manipulate the rest of the environment. And then it's like these security guards start showing up, and there's no actual, like, you're not moving during this demo, but
yeah, I was about to ask, how do you move
no,
if all you have are the move controls? But no, you're just standing still.
You're just standing still behind this
happen.
desk. But what's happening is you can actually, like, duck to take cover behind the desk. As a matter of fact, at the start of the demo, I was just like kneeling down on the floor because it was just easier. And then you can get up to get a better shot, and it's so immersive though. That's the whole thing about it, because it feels very natural. I mean, you're holding a gun in the game. There's no aiming reticule. There's nothing. You just aim it like you would aim a gun in real life, and you just try to get the best shot you possibly can. So I'm in this gunfight, like ducking behind the table, and it's just the whole word for this is just immersion, and it feels great. And then suddenly, as you're shooting, like, you run out of ammo, so you have to grab a magazine clip with your left hand, and you have to, like, put it inside the weapon like you would do a regular gun. You just, like, load it like a regular gun, and you just keep on shooting, keep taking down bad guys. But the whole experience of shooting a gun and actually ducking behind the desk and stuff, it is very, very cool. I mean, I'm not going to say realistic because the graphics aren't super realistic. As a matter of fact, I kind of feel that the graphics on the Morpheus are a little bit on the simplistic side because they need to achieve a certain frame rate to make the whole thing believable, you know?
Yeah, that all sounds amazing. Next game, Rurikan, what else have you seen?
So, I also played Battlezone. This was actually the first game that I played. This game, apparently, is an old arcade game that was made back in 1989, and they're, like, bringing it back to actual VR. It was amazing. Like, basically, you're riding a tank, and you're just running around shooting against other tanks. The impressive that I felt about this is the only thing you were using was a regular controller. So you're sitting down, regular controller, Morpheus headset, and what the Morpheus headset is doing is essentially you can look around the cockpit of your tank, but you can see, like, the other tanks that are to your left or to your right. I don't know how to explain it, you know? It's just it's again, the word is immersive.
But in this case, it was more of a camera control and less mechanics as the previous game, Heist, where you had to duck with the Morpheus. That's what was tracking your movement. In this case, you had a controller in your hand. You were kind of just playing a regular game and controlling the camera with the headset.
Exactly. That is what was happening. But still, it feels so immersive. And the art style, it's got this retro art style to it. It just felt very, very solid. So in a way, I was kind of almost regretting sitting down there. And by the time I was done, it was one of the more impressive demos that I had in the Morpheus booth.
It was a pleasant surprise.
Oh, yeah.
Final game.
So to end things off, I actually played a game that I had played before, which is Eve Valkyrie.
Oh, nice.
Basically, Eve Valkyrie, for those of you who don't know, it's a dogfighting in space simulator type of deal. So they put you on a ship, you see the cockpit, and the thing that always impresses me about Valkyrie is that you're also holding a controller while you're doing this demo.
Yeah.
And so when you look down, even though you don't have the move controllers or whatever, they have a pretty good idea of what you expect to see when you look down. So you look down, you actually see, like, the arms of a character. They aren't your arms. They aren't tracking your arms or anything like that. But it feels real, because it feels like, it feels like you're there. You're holding, like, the joystick controllers of the ship. It's very, very cool. So you can look around the cockpit. You can see all the other ships as you fly out into space. And the mechanic is still the same as it was in 2013. So if you don't know, basically the special mechanic of Eve Valkyrie, so to speak, is like you hold the left trigger and you look around. And as you look around, you can actually use that as a mechanic to lock on targets. So if you look at a target, you hold the left trigger down, then you release, you can actually shoot missiles at that target regardless of where your ship is moving. Mm-hmm. You got that, and then you also have frontal-facing cannons for your ship, so you can get into the whole kinds of dogfighting in space. The view is always first person, so you're always in that cockpit view. They have a radar overlay, so you look a little bit down, you actually look into the radar. That's the same thing in Battlezone, which I forgot to mention, but there's a radar thing in the middle of both these demos. And it's interesting because, like, you're looking up and you're looking for targets and whatever, and then you actually have to look back down to take a look at the radar, which I found it's just a very satisfying mechanic for those types of games.
Having just played 3 video games with the Morpheus, what's your stance on the future of VR? Is it here to stay, or is it another thing that's gonna go away and people are not gonna be interested, kind of like the Kinect went away shortly after? Well, it didn't go away, but people weren't that much into it shortly after it released.
So my take on it so far is I've played just only with the Oculus and Morpheus. I haven't gotten a chance to play with the Revive HTC thing. But my take on this whole VR thing right now is that I feel the Morpheus has the biggest chance of success because of the standardization, right? Because all you need for the Morpheus is a PS4. PS4, like whatever, $400. When you're talking about stuff like the Oculus Rift, your requirements and the price that you need for that are going to be, considerably higher. Like last time I heard about the Oculus Rift, they mentioned something like the minimum requirements for it is a GTX 970, which is, at this point is still a considerable GPU, and you still need to have.
God knows how expensive that will be once the Oculus actually releases. But for nowadays, it's quite a ridiculous graphics card. Though there are talks of Microsoft partnering up with the Oculus, so it might also come to the Xbox One in the future and eliminate this problem that the Oculus might have of requiring a beefy machine to be used on. And Microsoft does need a VR system because HoloLens is not VR. And so they're doing these partnerships with both Vive and the Oculus.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like the PC is definitely going to be like one of the main platforms for VR, but whether or not it takes off, it always depends on how much the market attaches itself to it. And the advantage that the Morpheus has on that regard is, again, standardization, because like the stuff I've seen for Oculus, I mean, the only game I've actually seen there was Eve Valkyrie, right? On the Morpheus, you actually see games that, in my opinion, were a little bit more compelling, and they also have already the Move built into the system, which allows you to do the whole hand movement stuff for games, which does kind of make it a little bit easier. But I don't want to come off as some kind of a Morpheus fanboy. I just like VR in general. This is just my overall take on where it's gonna go from here.
Okay, so just so we're clear, we kind of spoke a little bit about the Oculus in a less positive note, but it's been a while since you put on an Oculus, correct?
Yeah.
So there might have been changes since then. We're not trying to compare. We're not trying to say the Morpheus is better than the Oculus. We're just saying, hey, Morpheus is kind of amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it didn't come off like that. I'm not trying to, pitch them against each other or anything like that. It's just the whole point is we went to a Morpheus demo and I had to kind of, get some ground for my comparison.
Well, guys, do you have any questions about Project Morpheus? Leave them down in the comments. Rurikhan will get right to answering them as soon as he can. Thank you very much for this, Rurikhan.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
Take care, guys. See you next time.